And over time, I was able to really embed these ideas into my subconscious, into myself, into my mind, body. And what happened was truly remarkable. What happened was one day, out of the blue, I didn't need it anymore. So you can close your eyes, or you can listen in. You can listen in passively. You can listen in actively by sharing your thoughts, positive thoughts, emotions, feelings, insights. As we discuss this idea, this topic of overcoming addiction with mindfulness. Firstly, we are going to be discussing addiction for me. So this is my personal story. I will use a little bit of educational ideas from psychology, etc. But in general, it is a personal story. Secondly, I'm not a doctor, so if there is any serious implications or serious things you are working with in terms of addiction, I invite you to seek real professional help. What we are discussing is how I found the help of mindfulness in overcoming my addictive tendencies, especially with alcohol. And for me, alcohol, and I go back way back, I think towards my 20s. Actually, surprisingly, I started to drink alcohol only at the age of 22. That's when I started. And it's surprising because a lot of youngsters start very early, and it has been a problem for a lot of communities, a lot of cultures. So in the culture I grew up, which is in South India, drinking ages were pretty standard, if I could call it. But I was kind of a late adopter. But I think what happened over the time, I will discuss through the lens of mindfulness and how it changed my perspectives, how I understood what it is, and how I have been non-drinker for best part of 2 years, and I do not feel any need for it in my life. Such a powerful state which I never thought I would be able to experience while I was in the grips. And this may be sounding, what? No way, you cannot just leave something like that. And my point is, yes we can change, yes we can find ways. So in this exploration, I invite you to keep an open mind, see what comes up, and if there is anything which intrigues you, explore it further. So when I was in the grips of my addiction, let's just paint a picture so that you understand what I'm talking about. I think I used to have at least, I think 20, close to 10 to 15 bottles of beer. I used to maybe have 1 or 2 large glasses of wine with every meal. I used to have, over the course of the day, many opportunities to drink and socialize. I used to have, with work, every work day used to be a drink day. I used to notice myself feeling anxious, feeling terribly insecure about myself if there was no alcohol present in anything. And in this idea, I would like to say, first things first, let us explore how mindfulness came into it. So when I was going through my phase of drinking, I never thought that it was a problem. I always kind of rationalized it. This is how everybody does it, and I'm not in any trouble. I don't think there is a reason for me to stop. I don't think there is any problem. And I kept lying to myself in this way. And it kind of took me to a place where I was waking up with anxiety, waking up with other ailments, lack of sleep, dehydrated, undernourished, overweight, all of that. And it was during a random drunken night, shall I say. Drunken night, I was really stressed. And again, stress. The reliever of stress is not alcohol. The reliever of stress is a stress management technique, which is different from numbing yourself. But in that instant, something came over me and I decided to search for stress management techniques other than the use of addictive substances or other stimulants or depressants. And I found a mindfulness-based 8-week course. And I've been reading about mindfulness for that past few years. So it was an ideal moment where I was like, okay, this is interesting. This is something which can help, I hope. And I started to explore it further. I started understanding the concept of being present And that led me to this mindfulness-based 8-week stress reduction program. And immediately it had an overwhelming impact. So first lesson, I walked in, and within the first practice of just noticing your breath, which I never noticed before, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Help people understand the power of mindfulness. In that first session, on a side note, it took me a few years to realize how it works and learn more about it. But in that moment, it was as clear as the daylight sun that it is something which is very powerful and very impactful. So immediately there was an impact. And then suddenly mindfulness became part of my practices daily. And what happened is I started to become aware of my tendencies, my patterns, my behavioral triggers. I started to notice when I felt the sense of anxiety. This is just after 8-week, not even 8-week practice. It is just after 8 sessions of practice. So it was like every week I used to go to this practice and then do a couple of hours of meditation, mindfulness. And then this little change had a profound impact in my awareness. And once I started to become aware of these tendencies, these coping mechanisms which are holding me back, I started to understand the power of mindfulness. And this is really, it changed the way I looked at everything. And it's not to say that it is some sort of real change. It's just had an effect in my brain. And later I realized it is a unconscious or subconscious shift which has happened. So you started to change something in your subconscious mind. And it takes time, or sometimes it takes a little bit of practice to bring it to your conscious and to make it your reality. So sometimes it happens fast, sometimes it happens slow. So for me, it happened really quickly in terms of realizing the problems and what I needed to do. So with this practice, I became much more aware. And then the more aware I became, the more centered, the more still I became, I started to notice these things. And in noticing about my alcohol addiction, I started to question everything. I started to understand what it is that alcohol does. I started to understand why I have been using it. So to understand that, let's just take some examples. So the first thing is to look at alcohol and really understand what it is that we're doing. So firstly, I created these ideas. So initially I started alcohol as just a dare with a friend. For example, you joined a social circle, they're all drinking, they give you something to drink, you started drinking it. First sip, you're like, oh, this is not tasty. But then over time it got repetitive, it got habitual, and then it got addictive. And a lot of people realize that very late into their psyche, into their consciousness, is that people think it's a habit, but it's not a habit. If it was a habit, we would drop it for some other habit very easily. So for example, let me take this example as a habit. So if you had a habit of going for a walk every day, and then somebody said, oh, I'll give you something amazing. Let's say, whatever money in the world, you want $5 million, whatever. And they said, okay, I'll give you $5 million, but you won't be able to walk, or you shouldn't be walking. And you will be like, okay, if $5 million is important, then you'll be like, yeah, I can change that habit very quickly. Simply by an external influence like that, you can shift very quickly your habits. What happens with alcohol it's not a habit. And this is true. People who change things do not really change their drinking patterns. And that's why it's not a habit, it's an addiction. So that is first realization when I was becoming more and more aware of what it meant to be drinking alcohol. In terms of practices, no, I was never brought up with any. Well, I was brought up in a Hindu household, and there are a lot of practices. There was a lot of practices in the rituals in which were around me. I engaged in some of them. Some of them I was a bit agnostic about. So it really didn't resonate with me. So yeah, it was not until recently is when I leaned into more of understanding of spirituality and understanding the nature of myself and what is around that I really value habits and rituals. But coming back to alcohol, I realized through mindfulness I was able to bring this fact or this awareness, this insight, which only happened when I was present with myself. This only happened when I was noticing what I was feeling. And that's when I realized it's not a habit, it's something addictive, which is keeping me in this process. So that is first thing. Then what changed considerably is I started to notice it as different. It's a different thing. It is in the literature or the reviews, it is actually a depressant and an anesthetic. So what it does is it numbs you and depresses all the nerval connections into, so that you don't feel much. So this is what happens. People think this as courage and think that, my true self comes out when we drink, which is absolutely false, because actually you are cutting out various parts of your self. So the true self is not when you are in a state of alcohol-induced numbness. So the other awareness which came to me was, are we really doing it for the taste? This is a difficult one because a lot of people still believe it's for the taste. And I would argue not, because before you ever drank a drop of water or observed everyone around you drinking, you might have had early experiences with alcohol where it actually didn't fit in. It actually tasted really bad. And you even get this when little alcohol is given to any animal or any creature. They don't actually appreciate it. They chuck it out. So even if for the first time you're trying it, you will actually chuck it out. You will actually spit it out because it's not tasty. And we, over repetition, we habituate with the taste and we then label it as taste. And it's amazing. The reason being, we have actually numbed ourselves again to the taste of what this is. It is not something which is tasty. So that's another realization I had. And in that realization, I started to notice I was enjoying it less. And with mindfulness practices, I was able to actually notice the taste. So I did a practice with actually drinking while I was meditating. And it's not recommended, by the way. It's just something I had to try to see what it means. So I used to drink this thing and actually do the raisin exercise, but with alcohol. And that's when I realized how distasteful this is. So that's another realization which came across over me. And all of it were starting to change my beliefs about all of what alcohol can do for me. Then we have the main problem people feel with alcohol, and that's something realized, is actually the narrative about I drink to change my relationship with stress and anxiety. So I'm stressed and anxious all the time. So this helps me calm my nerves. And this is often the main reason people still engage in this activity. So you may have seen people saying that they need a drink. You also have probably poured yourself a drink, and your experiences showed that it could take the edge off. It could relieve your stress and anxiety. It was easy to assume alcohol was a stress reliever, and you quieted your anxiety. Yay. So eventually you said, okay, alcohol was necessary to relieve stress. But let's just consider this mindfully. So alcohol relieves my stress and anxiety. Let's take that statement. So when you started drinking, or I don't know if it's relevant for you, but when I started drinking, the last 5 years of my life, I used it to relax. Ironically, drinking made my life much more stressful. My health was affected. My stress levels were through the roof. My relationships were affected. So all this idea of stress and anxiety was just reinforcing the numbness that comes with each and every drink. So let's just explore what is stress and anxiety for a second. So stress and anxiety is a misalignment in your energy levels and flows, and you need certain things, or you maybe have either you missing out some things from your routine, like sleep, dehydration, nourishment. And that's the main reason why people feel stressed. The quickest way to get relief of stress is to have a glass of alcoholic beverage. And it is important to understand that it is not that they are doing something bad. It's just something which has been addicted, or it has created this addiction within you. It's not like the person itself is a bad person for reaching out for alcohol. There's another significant insight which came to me while practicing mindfulness is the idea that we are not bad. It's not bad You're not a bad person for drinking alcohol. Any person who uses alcohol, probably a chance of making it an addiction. And more or less, it is an addiction. Even if people say, I only have 1 or 2 glasses and it doesn't really affect me. But there is a chance that this addiction will grip you. So it is not you. In a sense, it is something that happens to you. So in order to relieve stress, for example, what do? We get good rest, good sleep, etc. Go for a walk, exercise, meditate, read a book, learn about things. That is how you relieve stress, become active. So drinking to relieve the stress and anxiety is like a vicious circle. So you start to drink when you are stressed, and then that relieves the stress for a bit, and then that adds more stress when you don't drink because of the withdrawal symptoms, because alcohol, again, is an addictive substance, and all addictive substance has what is known as withdrawal. So when the thing doesn't do the thing in your body goes into overbalance. That causes this anxiety. So the only time you are not stressed is when the time you are drinking. This is the issue. People don't realize that the stress and anxiety you feel had a major cause from alcohol. That idea, the stress was actually a withdrawal symptom, and also physiological, depending on how much you've had and etc. So how much time you've had, what other parameters are there. So if you take say for example, a healthy person who actively participates in all sorts of healthy routines, but they do drink a couple of times and they feel that takes the stress away. Again, for them, you can take the stress away through numbing yourself, or actually you can take the stress away by finding ways to manage your stress. So that is another. It's not really the opposite of relief. It's actually you're blocking your own emotions and your feelings, which you feel as something. How does this affect me? How did that affect me? For me, it took me few years to understand these ideas, start to work with myself, become more grounded, become in tune with myself. And I was able to kind of put together these pieces of these questions, these ideas, these beliefs, which were not true. And I meditated with them for a long time. I used a lot of meditation, mindfulness practices, and my main practice around that time was kindness and self-compassion. And that is one thing which completely changed the way I started treating myself, especially with regards to alcohol. So I would practice self-compassion and kindness meditation a lot, because previously when I tried to quit, for example, in the UK there's this sober month kind of thing, which is like everybody goes sober, and it's kind of fascinating to see like a lot of people go sober and then they struggle through it, only to start all over after 30 days of actually ridding them of this. And that is what happens with addiction. So it took me a lot of time to practice that self-compassion, kindness, to help me realize that it's okay to feel in this way, and it's okay to notice. It's okay to notice those bad things or the things which you want to get rid of or move. It's okay to notice them. It's okay to be with them. It's okay to even drink while you are trying to figure it out. Now, sounds insane, but yeah, it is. It is okay to keep doing what you're doing for right now, while you work yourself or you practice more self-compassion, kindness, knowing that yes, this is right now. It is not something, it's not working for me. I know it will change. I am going to be kind with myself. I know I'm doing the right thing. As opposed to having negative talks about yourself. Changing your ideologies, changing your thoughts is very difficult when you have that inner critic kind of mentality where you judge everything and you treat yourself badly when you say you want to give up alcohol for 30 days and you don't give up alcohol for 30 days. Maybe after 10 days you drink. You start to say, oh, you are so this and that. You are so bad. You can't even do this. That's the opposite. I would even say, yeah, you did 10 days. That's great. Now you had one drink. That's okay. Come back to stillness, come back to this moment, come back to compassion, come back to kindness. And over time, I was able to really embed these ideas into my subconscious, into myself, into my mind, body. And what happened was truly remarkable. What happened was one day, out of the blue, I didn't need it anymore. It just happened overnight. One day I woke up. I remember exactly the day. It was a day where the previous night we all went for a big meal. It was a family thing and we were just chatting, and I could feel like I was engaging in drinking. I could feel there's no more joy in this. I could feel like this is no longer my identity. I could feel like this has changed. And the next day, and from then on, I found a little bit of freedom. So thank you for sharing the space with me. I know this has been a kind of long chat. If anything, I hope you found the true insights are within you. I hope you found that the essence of change is within you. I hope you found that there is true compassion and kindness within you. So doesn't matter what you are going through. Bring presence, bring acceptance, kindness to yourself. And yes, it was like falling in love again with yourself. And yeah, 5 years ago, while I was drinking, I would have never said those words. That wouldn't have even occurred to me. And I would have found it really cringe. But now it is absolutely true. I think it is falling in love with yourself again and being kind about yourself. Like, these are difficult topics, and my experience will not literally translate to every single one. And I appreciate that. But what I'm trying to say is that mindfulness really helped in that process. Now I can talk about a lot about the other limiting factors, the ideas of alcohol, but this is not a session on that. It's a session about realizing power of mindfulness in difficult situations you may consider right now. Through awareness, experience insight. So you become aware, you experience it fully, and then insights start to fall left, right, and center. So being patient, being kind, compassionate, all that really matters. Is what I want you to take away from this daily practice with me. So thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the space. If you like what you heard or listened to, please comment, please donate, please share your thoughts, please share, and know that you are not alone also. Yet you might find your own way. So I would reiterate, do not blindly copy anyone else's idea. Just take whatever you can, little fragments, and find a way to use it to help overcome whatever it is that you are going through. And the main point as we leave this chat is it is possible. So I'd just like to do a little bit of meditation before we close today, because it's been a long one and a interesting and deep and intriguing one. So just take a moment to notice your breath, your body right here, sitting here, noticing any changes from the start of the practice. Notice any areas of your body that require your attention. Appreciate yourself for taking the time out to truly get in touch with your inner wisdom and trusting that you have the power within you to change your reality. Thanks everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you Sanchia. Thank you Lydia. Thanks Lynn. Thanks everyone. Thank you for sharing. Sanchia, Lynn, whose battle addiction really understands. Are there any particular meditations you recommend for self-compassion? Yes, many. I think it start off with, may I be peaceful, may I live with ease, may I be healthy, may I live with ease, may I be peaceful, may I be happy. Just those 4 can start off. And then you can adapt it to the situation and whatever it is that you're going through. So start with those. Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks Sanchit. Thank you.